So I'm going to talk about the Working Families Party and why the Working Families Party is a party that leftists should consider joining. If you want to join a party that has not just a lot of members, but can actually get some progressive candidates elected. The Working Families Party has been around actually for a while now, since 1998. They're uh, more of a big tent left wing party. There's basically it's a progressive party, but also with Democratic Socialist faction, Social Democratic, and they've become sort of like the Tea Party uh, on the left for the Democratic Party because they ran a lot of candidates in the Democratic primaries, and they do this a lot in New York, where like New York has the fusion voting, and basically the Working Class Party endorses Democratic primary candidates, and then in the general election they run on the Democratic Party ballot line and the Working Class Party ballot line, and then sometimes they'll endorse incumbent Democratic candidates and have them use the Working Families Party ballot line so that the Working Families Party can stay on the ballot because like they need like 2%. So the Democrats, uh, they'll run candidates, and then the Working Families Party will have their members vote for the Democratic Party candidate on their ballot line so that they can reach the amount of votes that they need to stay on the ballot. Now, while there's many good things about the Working Families Party and stuff that they've done in the last few years, because they've gotten a new like national director, they've gotten some really good electoral wins with in Philadelphia. They got two WFP members elected to the Philadelphia City Council and ended up becoming Philadelphia's pretty much WFP is like the second party. They're bigger than the Republican Party in Philadelphia. So they basically have a multi-party democracy there with the Democrats, Republicans, and the WFP. And uh in New York City, they're basically a big third party there because Zoran Mamdani ran on the Working Families Party. But there is a lot of problems with the party, internal problems, not anything that is held them back electorally because they've done a lot of good things as a party. They've had like State of the Union responses from their own party, uh, and they usually have like some really big names in the party that do this, and they have a lot of elected members in local, state, and federal office political offices and stuff, Congress, Senate, not sure about, well, yeah, maybe Senate. They ran a few candidates and mayors and city council basically. But uh the Working Class Party has received a lot of criticism for uh things that they have done to some progressive candidates that tried to challenge a corporate Democrat and didn't get the support of the WFP while they were running. Because, of course, like the WFP, they're a progressive party, so you would think they would endorse all the progressive candidates that run uh, with platforms that align with the WFP. But they also had like some like problems with candidates running on their ballot line that don't align with the WFP. There was Anthony Frascone ran on the WFP ballot line because he won a WFP primary against Monitor Jones, and try to use that as a way to take votes away from like the Democratic candidate and make the Republican win, and ended up basically like the Republican got over 50%. So really, like, they couldn't blame the Working Families Party for that, uh, because that's kind of like what happened with Greens too. The Green Party's had some problems where like there was a sham candidate that ran that didn't align with the platform, but ran just for a ballot line. And then there was problems with like the Working Families Party staffers uh, that faced harassment after Elizabeth Warren won the WFP nomination. In my opinion, like, Elizabeth Warren aligned the most with what the Working Families Party stood for. Uh, and even the new national director at the time, Maurice Mitchell, said like there was a lot of like messages calling him Uncle Tom and calling him all sorts of horrible things because Elizabeth Warren won the WFP nomination from the voters that were members of Working Families Party that wanted Elizabeth Warren to be the nominee, uh, and wanted her to have their endorsement and not Bernie. And like there was a lot of like Bernie supporters that just didn't like Elizabeth Warren at all, that hated her supporters, and that caused a lot of division. And I mean, Elizabeth Warren aligned the most with what WFP wanted. So really, like, it shouldn't surprise people that she won their endorsement. But WFP also was gotten a lot of criticism this year because they didn't endorse some of the Democratic Socialists of America candidates that ran in New York City. And also, there was a candidate that was running against Grace Meng, who wasn't endorsed by WFP, Chuck Park, who only lost by about 14%, and probably would have done a lot better had WFP supported him, and still he could run in the general election as a Working Families Party candidate. So, uh, like, it seems like they pick and choose which progressives they want to get elected. And also, there's been criticism that the WFP is too friendly to the Democratic establishment. And I also have that criticism as well. As a WFP member for years, I have been very critical of WFP not for not endorsing these progressive candidates, but also for like being too friendly to the Democratic establishment to the point where you have WFP members that get elected as Working Families Party candidates, and then like they'll either switch to a Democrat right after they get elected, or they will try to endorse corporate establishment Democrats against the Working Families Party candidate, aligned candidate. And that seems to happen a lot. And seems like there's no way that the Working Families Party really holds those people accountable to what the party is supposed to stand for. And I mean, despite all the problems, WFP is still, along with DSA, like WFP, in my opinion, is more diverse, more gives more representation to Black progressives than DSA does, and that's why in my opinion, I do like WFP more than DSA. Even though WFP can be disappointing with some of the decisions that are made, but they do have a lot of like they're good with bringing Black people into the progressive movement, and especially with like the new national director uh that has done a lot to make the WFP a lot better and more involved in Black progressive politics. But WFP, they uh do have a lot of so they do have some senators that are WFP members, but Also some governors that ran on their ballot line, mayors, Brandon Johnson, a progressive who is a WFP member. So they're basically a big tent progressive party. Uh, and I mean, this video is basically about whether leftists who are to the left of progressives, most progressives, whether they should join Working Families Party. And in my opinion, you should, because like the WFP really does need to be pushed to the left so that they can be a better opposition to the establishment. And I've noticed that the Working Families Party has become more uh, critical of the Democratic Party establishment and trying to build a multi-party democracy. And in my opinion, like that's progress right there. That more members are willing to criticize the Democratic Party establishment, the DNC, and actually trying to build an alternative because a lot of people do want a third party. And I'm not saying WFE should become entirely independent of the Democratic Party and run like be like the Greens. But what I'm saying is they should be willing to primary Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and uh, try to also build a strong WFP presence in states other than New York or Pennsylvania. That's where they have members that have won, but also other states as well.